everyone, I hope you're all doing well and didn't get affected too much by all the rain this week. I'm standing here with the river behind me because I wanted to share a little bit about the emotional effect of being flooded and how it affects us now where we get a lot of rain. So a lot of the rain that we've had this week, the weather hasn't been hinting at it much because they've been wanting to keep everyone sane. All the rain this week has actually been the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. When Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica, it was doing wind speeds upwards of 200 miles an hour, and that is twice the strength of Storm Isha in 2024. Storm Isha was terrifying enough to listen to at home, so I can't imagine how scary it must have been to experience something like that in America. Our thoughts are with everyone that's been affected by the recent weather events, and I hope that everything works out alright and everyone is safe. At the time of Storm Desmond, our side of the river was lower than the other side, so the village would flood first and the farmland would be protected. Since our side of the riverbank was lower, they decided to drop the height on the other side of the bank, which, as you can see by the puddle over there, means that the river floods on that side before it comes to us, and it also means that the river has to fill all this land over here before it starts having any impact on us. So now that we have the new flood defence on the other side of the river, we predict that if we were to get another Storm Desmond level event, the water shouldn't come into the house, and if it does, it shouldn't be more than a Storm Kira level event, meaning it won't really get much higher than the skirting boats. But that obviously depends on the climate and how much more rain we get and all the rest of it. So we have just come back from a couple of days away in Stafford, and my sister stayed at home to look after the pets. The night before we went to Stafford, we received a flood alert saying that there's a chance that we could flood on Tuesday, and we thought it was a bit weird to get a warning 2 days in advance when there was no weather warnings and stuff showing in the forecast. My sister was quite worried, and we did the best to reassure her. She stayed up until about 4 in the morning watching the river level go up to make sure that nothing was going to happen, and went as far as putting the flood defences up on the house just for peace of mind. So since the new flood defences have been made, it doesn't necessarily make it easier to cope with being flooded on an emotional level. Watching the river graph go up so quickly before it levels off as it goes over on that side, it's still quite scary when you have all the strong winds and everything else going on around you. The hardest part that we're facing right now is learning to not panic until we get a warning. And when we go on the warning is when it's definitely going to flood on this side, and the other side gets a warning before we do. Since we have been flooded before, if we get a storm where we panic as much as when my sister was on her own, the next day we can get what my parents call an adrenaline crash, which is basically fatigue from all the nervous energy the day before, and it could take a couple of days to recover from it, and that is probably the hardest part to explain to anyone unless they have experienced it before. The main reason why I wanted to make the videos about the storms is because I wanted to raise awareness of the emotional impact as well as raising awareness of climate change. And a lot of times when I tell people, like if we get something like Isha and I'm tired the next day, and I try to tell that to someone else who hasn't experienced what we've gone through, unless I'm able to show it to them in a way that can put it into perspective, it's really hard for other people to understand and have much empathy for it, which is understandable, but also it's difficult at times. Something I haven't really said much about on my music pages, and not all of you may know already, is that I am autistic and dyspraxic, and there's not many people sharing things about it from that perspective, as well as doing it on a general level. I'm also wanting to do it from the perspective of an autistic person. I'm going to be supporting Lal Tetherer on the 29th of November at the Blue Gem Art Space in Penrith. Details are on the screen now. I hope you guys can make it to that, and I'll see you all soon in my next video.